the Unlearning Podcast. I'm Christina, your host, and we have a 3-part series that we're doing called Money Matters, and we had to bring back our financial guru expert who's gonna just kind of educate all of us, Jonathan Thomas. So, Jonathan, welcome back to the show.
No, I'm glad to be back. It's always fun speaking with you.
Yeah. So, you want to tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do before we talk about?
So I got over a decade-long career in financial services, and really I started kind of creating content and before I knew I was creating content, but I was sharing information that I was learning at my job, working for the bank, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, credit unions, on social media. And little did I know, while people weren't really engaging with it from a tactical sense, they weren't liking and commenting. When I would come up or I would be in town, people would always ask me and say, "Oh yeah, I see your posts every day." And so one of the things that I always had a strong passion for when I was looking for a career was I wanted to help people and I wanted to make some money. Financial services has afforded me the opportunity to make some money. And so that the more prosperity I had, the more my passion actually rose to help more people. And more so to not try to have a financial barrier in the middle of that. So I created Money Talks, which was the beginning stages of a conversation that people need to understand where they are with their money, and understand that even in this time, while it's heightened sense of what am I paying for, how much am I paying for groceries, my rent's going up, debt's going up because interest rates are rising. But that same focus has to be on even in the prosperous times of the U.S. And so oftentimes I realize it comes down to people just don't know the right decision to make. In addition to, they don't know fully what their options are in any given scenario that deals with their money. And so from that Money Talks conversation, I've been able to kind of develop a Facebook group, got 1,500 so people there engaging, have a Money Talks VIP, which that's to get a little bit more intimate, to really do the tactical things, do the help, the work, but then also to support those efforts. How the YouTube is just crossed over 1,600, I think, yesterday, and then recently added TikTok, where I do a lot more lives and engagement just because the platform is a little bit easier functionality wise. But it's about 1,200 or so people. So if you aggregate all that on a weekly, daily basis, I'm usually touching close to about 5,000, 5,200 people about their finances, getting their questions, connecting with resources, whatever the case may be. And ultimately now that full message has really kind of focused in on the fact that I want you to first get stable in your finances, being able to withstand something like a recession, being able to withstand jolts in the market and volatility in the market of the economy, not just the stock market, but then set that stage strong so that you can actually build wealth, which is progressively growing your money.
Nice.
That's a long.
No, that's perfect. That was again, I don't want to read your bio, and I was gonna put a sentence in there, but you do your different. So, today we're gonna talk about money and relationships. And so I got a couple of questions, but this is just mostly a chat.
Yeah.
Because
I got notes because I was actually gonna do a live on this, so I realized, this will actually help your podcast today.
So really, I'm just curious because why is it so hard for people to talk about money? And this goes back to my ex-husband and the whole thing. Like there was just a lot going on, but one of the biggest issues that we had was around money and finances. And knowing then what I know now, that should have been a conversation that should have happened way earlier. But why is it that people, from your perspective of the line of work you do, why is it so hard to talk about money?
It's one of those things that money is no different than if you're going to talk about sex, than if you're going to talk about what's going on in marriage. It's an intimate topic, but money is interesting only because it's a lot of stuff that people want to be actually secretive about. I mean, the average person can go find out. So a good example that when we bought this house that we're in now, that was a blessing. My wife's mom actually asked her, she's like, "Hey, do you mind sharing with me what you paid for?" And my wife was like, "Well, yeah, I do mind." And I laughed at her because I'm like, "Well, first of all, dear, we look up people's houses all the time. Like we know what people pay for their house.
Right.
She could go out and actually look. So you telling her isn't really that different from if she just Google searched it and
Right.
was like, oh, they paid this amount for the house. Because how else would somebody know, oh, how much do these houses cost around here?
Right.
But the one thing that I am seeing that actually is coming to the forefront in my kind of research and engagement in what's today's dating market, because it's a big topic in the whole 50-50 and women and high value men, and I mean all this, but it comes down to money. And
Yeah.
ultimately, what you have to understand is there's two positions, a man and a woman. From a man's standpoint, a man, it's embarrassing, personally speaking, and just I'm going to say what they're probably not going to tell you,
Hmm.
but it's embarrassing if you have to ask me for something that I can't provide for you. It's embarrassing for me to, if your car is, you got to get tires. I can help you with one tire, but I can't pay for the whole thing.
Mm.
That's embarrassing because as soon as you find out I can't help you with that whole thing, well, then as a woman, because women value stability, women value just being in a safe space financially, or just safety all around, but financially with their money. And so if I tell you I can't help you with your tires and you see me go to work every day and I'm doing this activity and I'm doing that, well, then you're going to start questioning, well, what are you actually doing with your money? And then from that conversation, you're going to find out or likely uncover, oh, this person has some credit card debt. Well, that's not too bad. It's bad when you can't help me pay for my tires.
Yeah.
It's bad when I see what you're doing, because as soon as you find out that, oh, I can't help you pay $800, $1,000, get some new tires, automatically the person is going to think about every interaction, every conversation they've had with you where you maybe bought some shoes, you maybe even did some recreational drug in some form of fashion. You did something, and in their mind they're like, well, how come you don't have money to take care of what I believe is important, which is my vehicle at this point? And then you want me to entrust you with my life, to commit to you. You want me to commit to a situation that now I don't necessarily believe is going to serve me well in the form of safety.
Yeah.
Are you reliable? So money says a lot about a person, and that's where it's intimate, because it will tell everybody your deepest, darkest secret without you even saying a word. It says everything about you. That's why people, oh, what's your credit score? Well, if your credit score is below 680, well, somebody's going to say either, yeah, you likely don't have experience, but the biggest thing they're going to say is you don't like paying people. Just point
Yeah.
blank, period.
Yeah.
You don't like paying people. If you don't like paying people, well, that's a big problem with a woman who part of their stability is I want to buy a house. Well, now you're not helping me buy a house. If I've done the work, especially a woman that works and has her credit together, she's thinking, oh, I got this extra person that can help me get this item that much faster. Up until you find out that extra person is actually dragging you down, you can't use their income. So therefore, you're not helping me, you're standing in the way. And then you enter the conversation of, well, I probably could do bad by myself, or I could do this on my own.
Yeah.
Why would I put myself through that? But it's very intimate, for especially for a man, and it's just one of the things that, yeah, it bothers me if I can't help support and put my wife and daughter in a comfortable situation.
Yeah.
I feel good because I've done well with my money, to where there's not too many things I can't take care of. If I tell them, oh, you can wait a week or wait a couple of weeks, whatever, I'll get it taken care of fairly quickly. But when we were dating, I couldn't take her out.
Yeah.
We were going to happy hours. She was sliding me money, which those are great things about her characteristic. But for me as a man, yeah, I didn't feel good at all. I was not worthy to be with someone of her stature.
Mm.
And most men are not necessarily worthy, because you don't realize you're taking, when you commit to somebody and when you have kids, you are taking responsibility financially, emotionally, everything that comes along, which it is a price tag
Yeah.
for another life outside of yours. And they live differently. Women, kids,
Yeah.
they live differently. You can't just be in a shack.
Right.
It'd be okay to wear a coat. You know what I mean? If you don't want to turn the heat up, you can't put a woman and a kid
No, no,
through that. You know
no.
what I mean? Kids, yeah. So those are things that it's so intimate, and it's such a huge thing because you're talking about people who have the beginning stages of their communication skills not being able to tackle a really tough subject because money's not going away.
Yeah.
Like me and my wife just got to talking about something with money today. We wasn't arguing. It's just, hey, I did this. Oh, okay. Thanks for letting me know. Hey, I'm doing this. It's a lot of things when you're in a couple. Money transactions are happening all the time. It's just when you have the money, you can choose whether or not you want to listen or deal with it. Versus if it's really pressing on you, oh, you have to deal with it and you have to be uncomfortable. And somebody about to find out something's not about to go
Yeah.
their way. And so again, as a man, you want to be able to put yourself in a strong position because if you can't take care of her and it's just her, you really, your girlfriend is actually not really going to be your girlfriend. It's hard for you to believe that she wants to stay with you because really at any moment she could find something better
Yeah.
because you're not doing that.
Here's the other thing to that too is should men also have that expectation? Because I hear a lot of the man, the provider, he's taking care, he needs to take care of everything, which I don't necessarily agree with because I think we build together. Um, I
Right,
remember my mom and other people, when I was growing up, of have your own because you don't know what's not from the point of you can't trust, this man. It was more of you don't know what's going to happen. And if you don't know what's going to
right,
happen, they knew so many women who depended solely on their husbands, and then the husband passed away or something like that. And then these women had no clue about the finances.
right.
So it's kind of, I have two different questions. The first question kind of is, shouldn't men have that same expectation? Like they need to know a woman's credit score and all of their financial business as well, rather than it just being, it needs to be both, not just the woman.
Yeah, it's a fluid
Yeah.
conversation. Like I actively my if anyone ever talked to my wife and first of all, if anybody watch my content and they really binge and they're like, oh man, this guy, he really knows a lot and he does this and he does that. If you talk to my wife, you would be surprised at how much she'd be like, yeah, I don't really care about none of that, none of that. That's just not where she is.
Mm,
She's very responsible, and she's done well with her money, and then obviously with my intelligence can do a little bit better. But the thing that I realized with her was, I mean, much like any woman, everybody, if you're an adult, it doesn't matter whether you're man or woman, if you're an adult, you want and you crave a certain level of independence.
yeah.
You crave being able to take care of yourself. That should be your main concern before you even get with somebody. The second thing is, yeah, you just like my wife may not want to know what's in the accounts or what I'm doing or whatever, but I still bring that to her so she's fully aware for that reason. You know what I mean? I should not pass, and you don't automatically know, oh, okay, this is how I access this. This is where all the money is. It's spread across these accounts. These are the passwords. She, as my wife, should be able to get into those items seamlessly without, oh man, any concern for once I'm gone.
Yeah.
That's just a due respect that anybody would have. But when you talk about the bill aspect, we can't ignore that. Yeah, things they do cost more now than they did 20, 25 years
Yeah.
ago. But the truth of the matter is, I would encourage anybody to go talk to your grandparents, go talk to your parents, and what you'll naturally probably come up with is more times than you think that woman was actually contributing in the household in a financial sense.
Mm,
So like I grew up, my grandmother, she ran a babysitting business and a couple other business. My grandfather, I learned he only had a third grade education, couldn't read, but he went out and worked every day. And the routine, I'm pretty sure, is pretty common as most. He would come bring his check. She would give him whatever, a few dollars. Well, come to find out, his check isn't covering the bills. What she was doing was actually covering the bills. On top of, she was cooking, cleaning, organizing the house, rearing the children.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the dynamics are a lot different. But in today's sense, what most men are doing, or most men are saying when they're saying they provide, hey, I got a roof over your head, I got water running, I got electricity running, your car is functional, you can once in a while probably go get a piece of clothing. I can take care of your needs to help you go forward. The problem with that is the mindset, or what are you talking about? Unlearning, relearning, is you have to understand that you took care of what things that's going to happen today, but how are you preparing and setting your family up for what's going to happen tomorrow?
Yeah.
Because all your income just went to the bills, and you're just like I would say to most people is, if you have no money in the bank, you're by definition to me saying that nothing's ever going to come up, good or bad, where you're going to need more money. That's that's just impossible. Like, you, something is going to come up, a birthday, some sort of celebration, even again, like I said, with the tires, something. But in most scenarios now, when a guy's talking about I'm providing, he's going to quickly list off, I pay the mortgage, I pay the needs
Yeah.
of the house. And so the importance of that is, if you're covering the needs, should that young lady, even if she does well financially, have to go out and have a baby, C-section, she become ill, it's more likely that the woman would go out for some reason where she couldn't work and not have the full capacity to work. That way, you're not living dependent on both of you guys' ability to earn an income.
Yeah.
She can step away. So no, you should share, and you should share frequently, and everybody should know kind of what people are doing. And for me and my wife, and I'm a big advocate of, you still should have independence of income, of resources within your team play.
Yeah.
Because that, if I'm going to work all the time, there's a certain liberty I should have to be able to go out and spend some money. I should, you know what I mean? I shouldn't. When I told my wife, when we set up our first kind of boundaries, I was like, yeah, if you gonna be out there spending money, if you're gonna spend over $500, send me a text. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Don't. I'm not saying I'm gonna give permission, but give me some sort of
Get me in
heads
the
up.
loop.
Well,
Yeah.
why would I do that? You know what I mean? Well, I'm like, well, I can save money, and I work all these jobs. How would you feel if you pull up one day and I just got a car sitting out there? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you like, well, what happened? You're like, I'd be pissed. I'm like, that's what I'm saying. I'm not asking you to get permission from me. I'm just saying send a courtesy.
Yeah.
And as you do better, like, we don't do that as frequently. We probably don't even follow that rule because we talk about pretty much everything. But what that rule did was open the door to begin to build the muscle of, I need to be sharing what I'm doing
Yeah.
with money. Sure, as you have more, she knows there's a lot of things that she spends on. I wouldn't have any concern. But there are also a lot of things I take care of that she didn't even know was an issue. But it makes it a lot easier because we've done well with the money, that she knows whatever I'm doing and whatever she's doing ain't bad enough that all this is going to come crumbling down.
Yeah.
Like that's just what it is. It's just a safer space.
Yeah. So it's basically trust. You just building trust, just being transparent and building trust.
It's another way of building trust, and all it does is support you. You told the person, I do. You trust them. Maybe you got married, like, oh man, I know you ain't gonna cheat on me, or I know you ain't gonna beat me, but you got to trust them in your money. You got to trust them with your feelings. You know what I mean? You gotta learn to trust them. But the only way you're gonna do that is if you begin to share those things, and then you'll learn. Oh, she doesn't necessarily want to deal. Like, my wife doesn't want to deal with the maintenance of the house. She would prefer I fix it with my hand, but I'm not about to ruin an investment because I'm such a manly man. No, I need a receipt. When I go to a closing table, I want these people to know, look, I didn't think I knew everything. I ain't try to YouTube nothing up in here.
Right.
It's legitimate. And if you got a problem, call these people because they tried to fix it,
Right.
or they told me they could fix it, and they were certified. So, but no, it's a lot of things that um you do, but it just evolves,
Mm.
and that's the thing that people. I mean, you've been married, but I'm pretty sure you have friendships as well. It works the same. People evolve. The things that
Yeah.
become trivial, the things that you're so focused on, and that's the thing that I see in the dating market that you got that people are so short sighted in what they're trying to do. They think this is how it's going to be all the time,
Yeah.
and I'm like, it don't even go that way.
Yeah.
It might be like that to get started, but eventually, like I said, stuff that we talked about when we was in year one, as far as money, no,
Yeah.
we don't need most of the things is constantly telling each other perspective, and to have perspective and to have grace and to have humility, as I was sharing earlier, that hey, our situation, we've done well, and that's something to be applauded for. But our situation isn't like our friends, our
Yeah.
family, all that type of stuff. Like we have different options. We work for that, but there is no complaints that is acceptable in this scenario.
Yeah. You talk about you talked about, when we get bombarded with it on social media, it's fascinating to me
Yeah.
but annoying at the same time, as to the way that people are thinking. You've got the group of men, and I'm not saying that, I'm not trying to make a generalization, but you have men who are
Right.
saying, I provide, and I meaning I provide these
Right.
things, but I've never
Right.
quite heard it articulated as clearly as you just did, that these are the things I'm talking about when I say I provide. And then you have
Right.
the thought of some women who are, no, you need to get my shoes and my handbag and my this and my that.
Right.
Um, and so it's really, it's what I hear you saying is that if you work together, it's like the need can be provided as well as the wants, but the wants can go for both, not just one.
Yeah. The
Um,
funny thing about it is, and that's the thing where I think it was like we're 6 years this month, so 72 months this month. So it was probably around year two and a half, three that I realized me and my wife. I'm like, whatever we're going back and forth about. Truth be told, we're in the stage of none of this, quote unquote. If you just look at the practical, realistic thing, it's not a good financial decision,
yeah,
like to pay that much for a bag or pay that much for a meal or whatever.
yeah,
We're not talking about anything that's necessary. We're talking about wants and desires, which is a positive space to be in. But when you're talking about why are we arguing about this, there's nothing to argue about. And one of the things that I tried to explain to her, and one of the things that I was hope really encouraging her to do was just call
that's
a spade. Just be realistic with why you're purchasing
yeah,
it. If your true reason is I'm purchasing this for superficial reason,
yeah,
you want the bag because it looks excellent. I don't care. You can afford to pay for that reason,
yeah,
but don't try to reason it out with some. Well, it has utility, and all. I'm like, well, there's a lot of bags
yeah,
that do that, but that's the thing that you kind of touched on with the conversations that you're seeing now, and that's why I was saying both parties, and that's why I am interested, I am intrigued because I'm like, where are you developing this level of thinking? The fact is, the team always will beat an individual. And if
mm,
you don't understand the team is going to beat an individual, I make a good income. I would be, by the world's definition, a high value man. But I've always been that way from a work ethic standpoint and a mindset
yeah,
standpoint, even before I had the money.
right,
I talk about my wife can do this. My wife cooks, she serves me a plate, but I clean this whole house. I'm washing clothes right now.
right,
She don't like washing clothes. You know what I mean? She's off working or whatever. If she want to buy a bag or what have you. That's the team aspect.
yeah,
I can, first of all, my level of cleanliness is probably a little bit higher than hers. So I do a different job because people always wonder, well, how do you keep your house? That's him. She knows because I'm always constantly picking up after her and the baby and all that. But that's how I want to live, and I have a certain standard by which I want to live by. So I'm not going to put that on her because even if she tried to clean, she's not going to meet my standard.
right,
But it's not a role thing. I'm good. I have a good skill set to clean. I have a good skill set to manage my time to where I can get everything done.
Mhm.
So why would I automatically put that on my partner
Mm,
that maybe all she can do is go get the kid, work, and cook,
right.
and she may or may not cook. Whatever. It doesn't matter
Yeah.
because at the end of the day, when I said what 3 months ago, what is this, March, April, April, so 4 or 5 months ago, when I said randomly, hey, I'm finna dip down to Memphis and I'm gonna go watch the Grizzlies. I'm gonna pay $200-300 for a seat to sit up close because I'm not sitting all the way in the back no more. I feel like I've earned that.
Yeah.
Um, I paid for the flight, paid for the hotel, paid for the car, all those things. She was just like, okay, that's that's it. I
Mhm.
got what I wanted. The things I want, I have. There's nothing around me that I don't want that I don't have.
Right.
And then because we've done well, we don't have to wait to get a lot of stuff that we want. There's not a, which that's the biggest thing. That's why people build up this Christmas. They build up this Valentine's Day. Well, if you're building up all these things, that's because you had to wait all the time. But if I want something, I can go get it within seconds, and there's a large limit on what I'm doing. That's insatiable.
And that,
But also, I'm not somebody that just spends my time. Oh, I want this, this, and this. I
yeah.
don't. I don't do that. I have my few little items, and then I'm good for probably another year and a half.
It's also that poverty and mindset of lack when you have to wait. You gotta wait all
Yeah,
this time.
but
Whereas
you may not even know if it's ever
if
gonna
right,
come.
it's like who else did I hear say that when they talk about like welfare and stuff like that? That perpetuates the
Yeah.
poverty mindset because you don't have money until that check comes. Or not even just that. I'm tax season. It blows
Right.
my mind that people are like, yeah, I got all this money, and then people take off. Like I
Yeah.
got relatives, I got friends who take off when they get their income tax check, and I'm
Yeah.
like, you do know that that was just money that you overpaid. You just need to
Yeah.
calculate your form and get your
It's your
money out
taxes and
the
you can get
year.
it monthly.
And it's like they act like they get stuff for free, and it's like really not. And then you blow it all, and then a week later, it's like, well, where did your money go? Did you put
Yeah.
it? I mean, even if you didn't necessarily invest it in something, well, I'm gonna say like an account or something like that. Like to
Right.
say I'm going to do an improvement on my house, or I'm going to,
Right.
invest it in something that's more enduring and more beneficial in the long run, as opposed to I'm just going out and buying clothes and then we just gonna eat out all
Yeah.
week. But that perpetuates that lack scarcity mindset. Um, this is good stuff. So let's just talk about before you can have relationships with anybody, you gotta have a relationship with yourself. So how do we
Yeah. And that's,
go ahead?
I would even say, if I could enter in, because one of my notes, that point right there, what does your money say about you?
Mm.
So I can do it from both sides, but I'm gonna definitely talk about it from a man's side because there's a lot. Interestingly enough, maybe this data has always been there, but there's a lot more data right now talking about all these men who not working, that aren't able to connect with women, that struggle with women, that aren't even on the radar of women, and what it actually says. What does your money, like I said earlier, like we started off the podcast, it says a lot about you, and what are those things? And one of the things, well, I have like probably about five actually,
Mm.
but one, it tells, your money can tell that you're unfocused. So if you're not vesting, if you have accounts over here, you got multiple accounts, you got credit card debt, and your checking account's kind of dry, you're overdrafting. What it says is you're not focused. You have no plan.
Mm.
What a person that you're going to date with, how does that unfocused thing translate? Well, if you're unfocused in your money, you're likely unfocused. If I walk into your house probably looks like your bank account. It looks probably messy. It looks probably like you probably may not even have a house because you're not focused in your life. You may not have clear direction on if somebody asks you what career or where are you trying to grow in your skill set, what are you learning? And you don't have an answer. You're not focused.
Yeah.
And all this lack of focus, women, even if you don't have a money, they can believe in a plan. they can look at you and tell whether or not, based off your behaviors, what you're saying, oh, okay, yeah, he's going to go do that. The second thing is, if you, part of the unfocus is a lot of men can't make it through a college degree. And I'm
Mm.
not saying everybody needs to make it through a college degree. But the thing that most employers will say about the bachelor's degree is you started something and you finished something. There's
Mm.
something to be said about being able to complete a task. So if you can't complete a college degree and you say, oh, I'm going to just go get the certification, are you going to go get the certification? Are you going to do a few weeks? Are you going to do this? That's why prison might have higher levels, because you can complete a sentence because it's forced upon you.
Yeah.
But can you complete something without somebody basically cracking the whip? But it's a symptom of being unfocused.
Mm.
Knowing about yourself, knowing where, having clear direction, giving a little grace that, hey, how Jonathan was thinking when he got out of college is totally different than how he's thinking now at 38.
Yeah.
But what people will see is they will see similarities in what I was saying back then, and how much more narrow my focus has gotten as time has progressed, because things have occurred to where I'm like, okay, this is why I'm making this decision.
Yeah.
This is where I need to be with my skill set. The second thing is, from unfocused, that translates to, are you trustworthy? Again, going to, are you worthy of trust? If you don't pay your bills on time, why would I believe that we're going out on Friday? Why would I believe if we go out on Friday that you're going to be able to pay for it? Why do I believe that your car is safe enough to pick me up? Why do I believe that you are safe enough for me to be around? Are you worthy of trust? Trustworthy tells you right there that trust isn't given to anybody. There's a certain level of respect. There's a certain level of trust that you're like, okay, I go to a bank. I'm expecting that this person will cash my check. But there's also a certain level of trust that you're like, this person could be having a bad day. They could steal.
Mm.
They could hold the bank up. This could be the one day. I just so happen to walk in on the day that they say, hey, you know what? This is it for me and whoever else is around me.
Yeah.
But are you, as a guy, and this is what you're asking them for, because the trustworthy part, and stop me if I get too cryptic, but the trustworthy part is where you start to want to connect with, can I trust this person with my body? From a
Mm.
woman's standpoint,
Yes. Yes.
can I trust this person with my body? You want me to trust you with my body, but I don't know if you're going to do what you said you were going to do, or even if you're worthy of that level of trust. You want me to trust you with my body. And now we're in a day and age where it's oh so frequent that people aren't using contraceptives. You want me to trust you with my body to put myself in a life altering decision.
Yes.
Not to mention, you want me to trust you with my body and potentially have a kid with you, and I don't know if you're
Mm.
trustworthy because you're unfocused and you don't even want to do these things for yourself. So why would you want to do it for me? And I'm a stranger.
Yeah.
You have no basis to be motivated for me.
And I just want,
The next,
before you go on, though, I
go
just
ahead.
want to say how powerful that is for women and young ladies, especially who are listening to this, is that trust. It's not about, like we hear in social media, oh, you took me out to dinner, therefore I should put out. It's, are you
Right,
trustworthy enough for me to give my mind, my body, my spirit, my
right.
energy towards that thing? I just wanted to reiterate that. That was powerful. Go, please go
Yeah, I
on.
mean, truth be told, the level of intimacy a 25-year marriage doesn't have the same thing as a two. It's a reason why people can't get past 1 year, but they definitely can't make it to five. And
Mm.
the reason why is because so many life events have occurred in five that everything that you said you were going to do started to unravel because the situation got tough and you didn't have a ability to create a good solution that was sustainable, that would actually fix the problem and move forward. But again, if I'm asking a person to be with me, if I was a woman and the way I raised my daughter, I'm like, yeah, you're obviously her situation is going to be a little bit different. She's coming in with some sort of wealth. But the point is, can you trust this person? Is this person
Yeah.
trustworthy for what you're bringing to the table? Because you're not just bringing yourself, you're bringing a legacy, you're bringing principles that me and my wife want going. We're not trying to dictate fully,
Yeah.
but there are certain things that we want, and we worked hard for this money to be a blessing for next generation, people after us,
Mm.
all that, and also people outside of us that we don't even know. And that can't happen if you're with somebody that doesn't have the maturity and the ability to understand the responsibility of what we're giving and
Yes.
relinquishing to you,
Yes.
because they're too stuck in, hey, we all grew up, we all may have had some financial challenges. His may be different than mine. But the problem, the challenge that I see is, it's not that you had the challenge, it's because you want to stay there and you don't want to change, and you're not open to, hey, you know what? I have to change. I have to develop this skill to be able to be at this level.
Yes.
You want to do it for a job though. A job, hey, you want to be a manager and make six figures? Well, yeah, I'll go learn the skill set for that.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with being, having a woman, having 20 years. You're gonna learn a new skill set.
Mm.
Those top two, being unfocused, being being trustworthy, that leads to one of the key points of what women look for: stability. Are you stable? See, the fact is, if you're jumping from idea to idea, it can get mundane. It can actually be boring. But the fact is, when a woman can go to sleep easy at night and wake up with not the concerns of how we're gonna pay the bills, what do I want to, can I just do something nice? Is this gonna impact? Am I about to mess something up? But you're stable because everything around, so many things and so many thoughts and so many responsibilities that fall on these women and daughters and children, that's all in their head that they're trying to work through, and they're trying to figure out having something stable, having something while chaos is going around, friends breaking up with people,
Yeah.
girls losing babies, girls flying out the country, somebody switching a job. They're going through a lot of things emotionally, a lot more than a guy would, but having that stability and brings peace and calmness in the home, and something that they, in turn, it will be a behavior that bleeds into their life.
Yeah.
Are you stable? That's where your indication of your money, hey, your money's all over the place. Your career's all over the place too. You're not stable, but yet you want me to trust that you're going to get stable. And yeah, what women are saying right now, while you can be offended or whatever, is they're not trying to be in the tough spot with you. And I'm like, they not.
Yeah.
Because they have seen it. These are women. These women now have been daughters, and they're looking. You got to think, your uncles, your fathers, all these people that you like, oh, I want to be like him. Yeah, their parents dated them.
Yeah.
They dated those guys.
Yeah.
And those guys were not stable. And those guys turned out to not do what they said they were going to do. And those guys aren't somebody that you can necessarily trust with your life. And that's not who you want to be. You're trying to pattern somebody else, but they're basically saying they went to the storm with somebody, with their parents went with the storm, thinking that at some point it was going to get sunshine, but it turned out to be a lifelong storm.
Right.
And these women now are saying, hey, I don't want to go to the storm. I need you to bring some sunshine immediately, so that, yeah, once you have some sunshine, yeah, I'll go through a storm with you, but I don't want to start in a storm. I'm not trying to build like that, because I don't want to go through that, because I feel like, and it's very serious that it's likely if I start there, I'm probably going to finish there. And I'm not trying to live like that. I'd rather just be alone. So stability, especially in a time like now when people are losing their jobs, stability, especially in a time when, again, more health issues, we're getting older, our parents are getting older, we have to support the home. There's lots of ways that you have, but being able to be stable, meaning, yeah, my car broke down and I got to deal with my parents, and I'm dealing with all these different emotional things. She might be turning 38 or 39. She's not 27 anymore. Her weight might look different. Things may not be what it is. Whatever. The fact that she doesn't have to worry about, hey, my car broke down. The fact that she doesn't have to even worry about, what am I going to make to eat tonight?
Yeah.
Sometimes she don't have to worry about getting her house clean. That helps stabilize her life.
Yeah.
Because that makes you now dependable. And stability brings the next thing, what I was saying, that, and kind of all these flow together, but stability brings reliable. You know what I mean? Are you reliable? So reliable now talks about, we've talked about the past and we talked about the present, but reliable now says, hey, I'm telling you, we're going to do this, dear. If I say we're going to go on a trip, because a trip is futuristic.
Yeah.
When you start to plan stuff out, when you start to say, hey, dear, I don't want you to get the bag now. I don't want you to get this item now, but get it in a couple months. Now you've gone through all four of those stages prior. She will automatically give you, oh yeah, I know he's going to come through because he's trustworthy. But you want her to think you're reliable when you've done nothing to be relied on, and you're not even presenting a package that you're like, well, you're not even reliable for yourself.
Right.
You asking me for rent money. You asking me for all these things.
And with your R word, I'm going to add the S word that triggers a lot of people: submission. And not
Right.
submission. I don't hear you're saying it in the way that I agree that submission rolls. It's not go make me a sandwich because I said so.
Right.
It's that you are because you are focused and you're trustworthy and you're responsible. Now I can say, okay, I'm gonna wait on the bag. That is a form of submission. But we
Right.
want it to be this more of like this servant master type
Yeah.
of mentality, as opposed to I trust you enough that you are looking out for what's best for me, you, our family. Therefore, I can submit.
And that's the thing that, again, is, I would say, is immaturity. And that's why, because I spent a good, I mean, I got over a decade career, so at least 8 to 9 of the majority of 80% of that time that I was in my career, I've been in leadership, and I've been in leadership with CEOs, senior VPs, all this. And the one thing about leadership is that I don't see that in all these couches that I'm seeing people sit on, and I need somebody to follow. See, the fact is, I serve and I wake up to serve my family every day. You're arguing about something that won't actually be an argument. I've never once had to ask my wife, will you make my plate? I never once had to ask my wife, I need you to think outside the box and go support me in this fashion. She does these things because she has the ability to look and be like, okay, Jonathan's always going to think about us and family. You know what? I'm finna go get what he wants without his knowledge and just bring it to him, because that's how I would prefer to receive it anyway.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter what pot is coming out, how it is. That's what she will do. But never once do I ask her to pull out her card when we go out to eat. She will just naturally do that. She just will naturally do things at time. And I'm saying to reinforce your point, when you present all these things necessary, it's an automatic reaction, because you're serving your spouse. You're serving who you're dating. You serve them as best you can. They will serve you. Anybody I've dated, I've had the blessing of being able to do business with. No, the relationship, as far as an intimate relationship, didn't work out. That wasn't our path for me and that person, or me and those people. But for business relationships, they've helped me get jobs. I've helped them with money. There's been a fair exchange constantly, and it might even be lopsided at some point.
Right.
But the point is, the act of service without being prompted is what you're trying to get at, and you can't buy that.
Yeah.
You have to influence, you have to inspire, you have to motivate somebody to do that. And the only way you can motivate, like Michael Jordan motivates people, but he motivating people off stuff he did. His words can be inspiring, but his words mean nothing if he didn't have the body of work before to catch somebody's attention. What you're trying to do is catch a young lady's attention. What you're trying to do, not only catch it, but you're trying to grow and hold it. And in order to do that, you have to be reliable. Are you doing what you're saying you're going to do? Well, the first way to figure that out is, if I'm supposed to have a bill, if I'm supposed to be at work at 9:00, I need to be there at 8:58. I need to be on time. If the only way that's built up is over time, and the tougher the items become, and you've been married, you understand marriage is not for the faint of heart, it's not for the weak. But women are not stupid, and they're not ignorant. And men, I think oftentimes, both people dating, I think oftentimes you're a little more ignorant to the power that happens when you're married. What situations will actually come that you have to deal with that takes a huge level of maturity that no one prepared you for. And you up here trying to think about, am I going to get sex tonight or am I going to have a plate made?
Yeah.
And that's not even in the discussion, because those things, everybody wants to be intimate and everybody wants to have sex, but your maturity changes because you realize, well, this person's been working all day. They're tired.
Yeah.
They're trying to figure out what's going on. They don't love me less because they're not doing that. And ultimately, you may find out over time through your growth that it's less about you having sex and it's more about, I could get the same feeling from riding with my wife and my daughter in the back, and we running errands to wherever my wife want to go. I may not care about some of them stores, but for me, sitting in the seat next to her, riding in her car, she having her good old time because she driving the car she didn't want it for a while, and I'm just sitting there, and I'm riding. I ain't even driving, and she going about her way. But you have to become reliable. Reliable is such an attractive quality that it produces trust, it produces stability, it produces everything you want to do. And then the last thing is, you have to be innovative. The innovativeness, the ability to be innovative, that's what's said in your money about why you invest. Investing means you understand that things need to change and you need to be prepared for the change. And you're trying to change with the things that change. But being innovative also means that as a spouse, I have to reinvent myself to my wife frequently. I have to change who I am frequently. So there are some people who get married, for guys especially, you get married, by year 5 to 7, they start to set into what's called that dad bod. And that's tough because now you got kids, you working, you don't have time to work out like you did when you was 26 because, and you don't have the metabolism fighting with you. But you have to reinvent yourself to your wife. The things that worked at 26, I could buy my wife. I bought her actually a Gucci bag when we were first dating at 27. She was overjoyed. Last week, I folded the laundry, and it was the same level of joy that it was on the Gucci bag.
Right.
She's changed. I have to reinvent myself because you're only valuable. My wife understands, and she talks to her friends, yeah, my husband's a little bit different. He approaches things a lot different. You're not like most people.
Yeah.
You need to be like that for your wife or whoever you're dating. You have to innovate and realize that, hey, whatever I'm doing, if I'm trying to have a partner and I'm trying to have a partner long term, this is going to work now, but I have to evolve. I'm a father and a husband.
Yeah.
I'm a husband first and a father second, but there are ways I have to reinvent myself to figure out, okay, how does my daughter need me to support her? At the same time, how do I give my wife, hey, you look good, you look beautiful, all these things, and show her the value that I see in her all the time. That picture, those actions are always going to look different. And I have to be continually, and I am continually challenged, what do I need to be doing now in this season? I could buy her a gift. One gift was to, she took me on a trip when we first dated, but I've taken her on trips. We've exchanged, we've done all those things. But her recent birthday, I paid for her to freaking go into a nice hotel. I never had to use my points for that to make it make sense. But and she got the experience because I knew for her, like the people in her age bracket, I realized their biggest value right now, they're tired. They want to rest. They want people to serve them hand and foot. So you put her in one of the top hotels and say, hey, room service, they got my card, get whatever you need, go to the spa. But that whole experience revitalized her to be a better wife for me. Yeah, it's selfish, but it's really for her. I can take care of the baby. I can do all those different things. So you have to be innovative because if you're going to make money, you can't make money the same way that you did back then. Mm-hmm. You have to get better at your skill set. You have to get more intelligent with your skill set. Yeah, I lead, but I lead way differently now than I did when I first started. I know better methods of effective, but even if I wanted to use the same methods, well, the people I'm leading are different. Millennials and baby boomers are different from Gen Z.
Yeah.
I need to know how to connect to all these people.
Yeah.
What's important to them? What do I need to do? So I have to change my methods to appease the audience that I'm trying to serve. And what many people are, what you're seeing right now in the dating market is there is a clash between what men want and what women expect. And part of it is men have been okay and allowed to only give a certain portion, and women are slightly trying to raise that bar and be like, hey, you need to come a little bit better now. And for those that are left out in this, that are men, and my heart goes out to them because I would help them just like I help anybody. But one thing I do know is you're choosing not to step up to the challenge.
Say it again.
The job requirement got a little tough. So I wanted to get promoted at Bank of America to go into leadership. I knew I could do the job. I wasn't going to get that job at Bank. Oh, actually, I had it, but Bank of America changed. But I had to reinvent myself. I had to learn a new skill set. I had to learn a lot of things. But ultimately, I had to do a lot more to get myself to that next level. Yeah. I had to do a lot more work to get to the 6-figure level. It just didn't come to me. And the requirements to do that level, the requirements to get the reliability, the support, the trust from a woman, the requirements to do that is more difficult today than it was back when I was young. Because you could have simply asked a girl for a number, you talked to her a little bit. Now, you know what I mean? Now they ready to talk and all that. You might take her out one time. Now they want to start at dinner and they want you paying. Mm-hmm. And they don't want a dinner that, you know what I mean, you could go have with your boy. You might could have slid with a nice happy hour. You ain't sliding with no happy hour for this. They're being vocal and they are being unashamedly so, you know what I mean, if that's what you want. Yes, could those expectations be a little bit realistic? Yeah, they could be. But what you're talking about, what's the value? Well, statistically speaking, number one, if you're married as a black man, you'll make more money. Number two is if you're married, no matter what race you are, you live longer because you sleep more peacefully at night.
Yeah.
So if your money's not important, it's your life. So this is a bigger thing. Now, granted, on the other side, I can hold women accountable too in the fact of you don't have a good concept of money, and 50,000, 60,000 can be a lot of money, can get you all the things you're talking about with the brunches, with the out of town, with all it can do all those things, and it's realistic for a guy to do, but you have to manage your money.
And I'm gonna say, I'm gonna caviar dreams on a tuna fish budget. Yeah,
it is. But no, because a lot of what I've been able to do all of it started with my wife. The ability for me to make income in financial services. She's the reason why I was able to get in. Those are things that you have to understand as a woman. You have to be able to mature and grow your mind to be able to identify, not that you don't put your money and time into somebody, but you need to do it in a person that's worthy of you making that type of investment. Yeah. Because if he's going to get up, if he's going to work 24 hours a day and he just needs a little help, a little support to get him in the ring, do that because it's going to pay dividends for you.
Right.
But if he's not willing to get up to help himself, can't do that. He's not willing to look up a website. He's not willing to fill out an application, because we know women are filling out applications for. You're not trying to work. You don't want to fill out your own application. Come on, man. Like that's not going to work.
Right.
So no, those are. I know it's a long thing, but basically, what your money says about you, you can be unfocused, focused. Are you trustworthy? Are you stable? Are you reliable? Are you innovative?
Yeah.
All those different things. It sounds soft, but they have tactical pieces behind them. When you manage your money right, when you invest, it opens the door for somebody to want to give of service to you.
Yeah. I love it. We're going to start calling you the financial therapist. That's what we're going to start calling you when we invite you back. Jonathan Thomas, Money Matters on Facebook, YouTube channel, and our financial therapist to get us right, because you drop so many gems for men, but especially the target audience, that younger group who's listening to some of these other podcasts where they have women with all their chest out and talking about what you're gonna do and making me a sandwich and your number count and body count and all this, when it comes down to this thing,
Yeah.
and also the point that your value is not necessarily in your money as much as it is your attitude and mindset towards it, which I think,
Yeah.
just thank you, because that's such a refreshing perspective that young
Yeah.
people are not hearing. And so we definitely want to have you back if you're willing to come back. For,
Yeah, dude, we're gonna keep rocking.
yeah, and again, where can we find you? Where can we find?
Uh, So you can find me J Thomas Solution on TikTok. You can find me J Thomas Solution on IG. Money Talks with Jonathan Thomas on YouTube. Money Talks on Facebook. And then I don't know if you have it, but I'm gonna probably if you go to IG, there's a link tree that has everything. They're pretty much on all the sites. It has a link tree, so you can if you can click the link tree, you can pretty much connect with everything and find what you like. But ultimately, if you're not stable, we can get you stable and start to get you building wealth. And that puts you in a position where you can start to develop better relationships and start to heal the problems that the money is hiding.
Yeah. And all of that, of course, is going to be in the description of the show, as well as the guest notes and Jonathan's bio on our website. So I'm gonna thank Jonathan for being here, but we know he's coming back because he's gonna talk to us about a couple of more topics. Thank you all for listening. I hope this resonated with you, especially our guys. And until next time, God bless.